Love it. Is my mic on? Are we good? Well, I pulled it down. Okay, there we go. I love it. You know, at a normal conference, it'd be like, good morning, but not here, right? I just wanted to, are we good? There we go. Thank you all for the warm welcome. A lot of you don't know me because I just read John's books and then somehow I think through Twitter found out about the Facebook groups and joined, and then I was like, well, this thing's in Tulsa and these people are cool. So I'm going. So I showed up yesterday never having met anyone in real life, and it's just been an awesome warm reception. So thank you for that. But along with, I'm sure, some of the other speakers, I had a unique challenge presenting to such an awesome group because my upcoming book, Your Mountaintop Awaits, Stop Wandering, Start Climbing, the whole premise of the book is your mountaintop, your dream life, where you're living the life you imagine for yourself and you're accomplishing your goals and you're pursuing your dreams. It is out there, it is beautiful, and it is waiting for you. But I think so many people in my generation, 20-somethings, 30-somethings, early 40s, have sort of taken up this mantra of Tolkien's, not all who wander are lost. I actually saw it on a t-shirt out there. And I get it because it's beautiful and it's true. But I don't think you can wander into greatness. I don't think you can wander to your personal mountaintop. So obviously you guys are hustlers in this room. The whole premise of this conference is to launch, to start, to begin. So you're not wanderers. So I thought, how can I add value? How can I bring, something to this group that will help them? And I thought about my journey in my book and just everything that I feel like we might have in common. And I call us leaderpreneurs because we're leading ourselves, we're leading others, leading projects, and we all have that entrepreneurial itch in us. And one thing we are not short on is passion. Am I right? We are some passionate people. But sometimes with all that passion and all of that drive, we have more than one dream and more than one passion. How do you know you're choosing the right one? How do you know you've picked the passion that's really God's design for you, really your mountaintop? Because course corrections are super painful. And there's nothing worse than to do all of that hustling and get to the top and see the view and look at where you are and think, oh, still lost. Still not there. This still isn't for me. So my goal today is to make sure to save you some course corrections. And obviously I have to be an authority on the subject, right? So when I was young, I for sure thought I was going to be the next big pop star, and I was going to be best friends with Katy Perry, and I was going to travel the world on tour. But clearly, I've had some course corrections since then. But in my wisdom at 17, I knew I needed a stable fallback degree, right? So I went to OU, and I got my stable fallback degree in art. Let's just take a second to feel sorry for my parents. So I get my graphic design degree and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be the best creative director ever. And then I realized graphic designers sit at their desk all day. And I don't know if you're picking up on it, but I'm like more of a people person. So I was like, well, this isn't gonna work. And so I forced myself to learn strategy and marketing and push myself beyond what I had been trained to do. As I said, I worked my way up through the 3 biggest agencies in the state to associate creative director at an agency downtown. And it was a dream job, but it still wasn't the dream. So in that time, I think a difference between a wanderer and a climber is that wherever you're employed, you're working for yourself, right? And so I was always branding and marketing myself so that someday my big opportunity could find me. And eventually they did. An international froyo company reached out to me on Facebook to take over the branding and marketing for their entire brand, over 200 stores across the U.S., and they were opening in Canada at the time. And so I started Lever Branding and Marketing, which that's still my consulting business. And so there I am, and I'm like, yeah, living the dream, go, go, go. And then unfortunately, but fortunately, I got pregnant in my first year of business. So not exactly the time to start a family. But I did have my first daughter, Chloe. I know, it's like the best slide. I should just quit now. She's so cute. So then my contract with that company ended because they were getting bought by an even bigger company. And so, I have this professional time of rest, of extended maternity leave. And when you're alone with your thoughts, keeping a newborn alive, it's like all around the clock, and I'm just there alone with my thoughts. And I'm sure some of you have gotten to this, but I was kind of like, what am I doing? Like what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? What am I doing? So I was like, it's time to get my act together. And so I went through, and over the years, Dave had said, I had all these notes. I'd kept this running Google document as I worked my way up in the agencies. And when I quit my job, I blogged about it, the process of starting my own business. So in all of that to say, I discovered my true calling through these 10 exercises that I'm going to share with you. So 10 exercises to make sure you're climbing to the right peak. I wish I could say 10 quick tips or something sexier than exercises, but we're talking about our life's calling, right? We're talking about something big here. So I can't, wrap it up and put a bow on it for you, but I promise you it'll be worth the investment. If you invest in yourself, the return will be awesome. Okay, so number one, surely you guys have done this to some extent, but the first thing is to write out your dream life. I don't mean write out goals, and this is a start. I love this. I love the Post-its. But have you really written out, like, what does it mean for me when I've achieved my dreams and when I've reached my peak? What does that mean? So write it out and then get detailed. For example, you could say, I want to be CEO. Well, does that mean you want a corner office and a bajillion employees? Or does that mean you want a versatile business and you run the thing from your lake house in your pajamas? Okay, both are CEO. So either way you want to do it, but you've got to be detailed and honest with yourself, or else how are you going to get there? So the next few, we're going to do some assessments. Again, not the sexiest thing, but worth the investment. So first, you're going to assess your traits. We've talked about already in this conference, doing Strength Finder or personality tests. What do other people say? Man, you're so awesome at that. And think about how you're wired. Like, are you a big picture person, a detailed person? What makes you tick? And then you're going to assess your talents. So don't get the two confused. We're talking about how you're wired, and then what are your gifts and talents? What do other people say they admire in you? And that could be something like you're a good listener. I don't want us to get caught up on talents as this right brain thing. I don't think Steve Jobs and Bill Gates were painting in their free time, but obviously gifted and talented. So if you're a whiz with numbers or a whiz with processes, that's just as much a gift as somebody who writes. So be honest with yourself about your gifts and talents. And then I want you to think back to your dreams. I think a lot of times we try to shove down, dreams from like childhood. That's not realistic anymore. But those small dreams when we were young shaped the later dreams, didn't they? So think back through, when you were a kid, then in high school, then in college, because your dreams have probably gone up and down, but write them all out, everything you can think of. And in that, you're going to assess your fulfillment. Now, I'm not talking about happiness. If only we could figure out a way to monetize, like sitting on a beach with a Mai Tai, because that would be awesome. I feel happy then. But that's not fulfillment. When you go to bed with happy exhaustion, when you've poured out of yourself and you're just in your sweet spot, when has that happened in the last year? And then drill down, last year, last month, last week. Give yourself tangible examples of when you felt fulfilled and why. Ask yourself why, okay? So then you're going to assess your tasks. And this is when you start to really take account of your day-to-day life. What do you love and hate about your job? If you don't have anything that you hate about your job, congratulations to you, because you're doing a lot better than a lot of people. But you can also think, what do you put off? What do you put off to the last second? You try to delegate, you just dread doing. Well, those are things that probably are not your sweet spot, right? So you're going to assess your tasks. Why do you love some of them? Why do you hate some of them? Then your track record. What are you best at? What things were you a total rock star, totally awesome, and then what things did you fail? When you're going through these, it helps to have someone who is lovingly yet brutally honest. For me, that's usually my mom. But you can say, hey, am I really good at this? Or do I just think I'm good at this? Am I going to be spinning my wheels at this for the next 10 years? Or am I, good at this? Because sometimes we can fool ourselves, can't we? When we get ourselves all wrapped up. So ask someone that you trust, that loves you, to help you with some of these assessments. So what you're best at and worst at. Next, your interests. I love yesterday, Nate said, if you can't let go of something, maybe you're not supposed to let go of it, right? King Solomon wrote, without vision, the people perish, which means we are meant to have dreams. We are meant to have that burning passion. So if you can't let go of something, maybe you're not supposed to. And we think really big, but I want to give you more a tactile example of if you are maybe a mom, you're working to make extra income, maybe you're doing a network marketing thing, a direct sales or one of those deals, but all of your free time, when you get that small bit of free time, all you can think about is photography. And you're just consuming photography blogs over and over and over, and you're reading about how to be a better photographer, and you buy this big camera and you're taking pictures all the time. Maybe you're supposed to be a photographer, But we lie to ourselves for whatever reason as to, there's too many photographers, which I have a whole nother spiel about that deal. But so whatever it is, don't discount those interests you can't get away from, Now, in that, and I can't believe I didn't have a slide for this specifically, but in your interests, think about where you're actually spending your time. Perfect example. I think I'm going to be a pop star. I actually quit my design degree early on. I quit to pursue music full time. And so other musicians are up at 2 a.m. and they're working on their instrument, they're singing, they're perfecting their craft. I was making funny videos and designing and redesigning this thing called the MySpace page. That does not a famous pop star make. Okay, so when I was honest with myself, I didn't even like playing piano in front of people. So this is the only thing I want you to get today, if you don't get anything else, is that many people choose a peak that is comprised of a climb they're not going to enjoy. You know, oh, I want to be a master blogger. I want to have 12 million Twitter followers. If you don't love writing, if you don't write every day, if you're not putting your blood, sweat, and tears into writing and loving it, you're probably not going to be a master blogger. So that's what I want you to think about today is when you choose a destination, you choose a journey. And we know that in theory, but let's get real with ourselves about it. So next, once you figure all of these things out, I want you to go to someone who seems to be living your dream life and ask them for the nitty-gritty details. Not the Instagram version, but the real life of what it's like day to day and what it took to get there. Then I want you to go back and compare to number one. Compare what you wrote. I guarantee you'll have differences. So lastly, I just want to say, obviously you were made for more than wandering. I want you to take away today that when you go through this, it will be so worth it because we were designed to get to our mountaintop. When you reach that peak and you view that breathtaking expanse of a passion-filled life above the clouds of meaningless and longing and frustration, won't it be worth it? Won't it be worth it? Won't it be worth it? So all of that to say, you were made for more than wandering, and thank you for having me. Actually, in front of your seat, so if you're in the front row, I'll get you. I actually brought you workbooks. They're kind of extracted from my book. So if you want to go through these exercises, now you don't have an excuse. I've made it really easy for you. So I'm so inspired and honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me.